Hello everybody, welcome to this session for Google Applied Digital Skills. My name is Dan Neeson, I'm a Technology Integration Specialist at Neonet. I'm also a Google Certified Trainer. And here's my email on screen here, dneeson@neonet.org. So if you have any questions after watching this session, feel free to shoot me an email. And let's go ahead and dive into Google Applied Digital Skills. So the big thing about Google Applied Digital Skills is it has a whole bunch of lessons and activities that cover kind of a wide range of different subject areas, but all kind of feed back to instilling digital skills on students. And there's lots of different types of projects. We'll take a look at today things like creating blockbuster movies while learning graphic design, practicing about learning programming in conjunction with writing. And in today's session, we'll cover all these things that are available here. So we'll talk about why we're here, what Applied Digital Skills is. We'll take a look at inside of the curriculum, see some examples, and then we'll wrap up with how to get started. So, of course, our first section here is why we're here. And big thing, like it says here, students today need digital literacy skills to be successful in any career, in any field. And this whole slideshow is from Google. This is a Google-created slideshow. And as we'll see throughout today, it offers a lot of different examples of content that's already in Applied Digital Skills, as well as kind of the rationale behind it. But here's Google's commitment here. It says, we believe that every student in every school deserves to have access to the tools and skills that will set them up for success in the job market of today and tomorrow. And the challenge that they've identified is the job market is changing and employers are looking for skills that many students aren't yet confident in. So 44% of 18 to 25-year-olds who believe their education gives them the skills they need to enter today's workforce. 1/3 is the proportion of jobs in 2020 that will require skills that aren't commonly taught today, and 12% is the youth unemployment rate. It's a 7-year high at the time of this creation of this slideshow. Now, the opportunity that they've developed. So technology lessons can build practical skills that prepare students for jobs sectors that are growing fastest. 49%, that's the percentage of today's job openings that require a high school degree but not a 4-year college degree. 150%, that's the growth rate of digital-based middle-skilled jobs compared to other kinds of jobs. And more than 50% is expected of jobs in 2020 that will require an engineering mindset. And so the solution that Google has kind of put together for us is Applied Digital Skills. This is a free video-based and online curriculum that prepares students of all ages for the growing number of jobs that require basic digital skills. We're not just talking about how to type or how to search on the web or how to use a word processor or how to put a slideshow together. It does that, but it goes a lot deeper. All right, that brings us over to our second main section here, which is what is Applied Digital Skills. So like it says here, a curriculum is designed to equip students with practical skills that will help them succeed at school, in the workplace, and in life, while promoting student engagement in the classroom. And so much of this stuff is based on this idea of project-based learning. And the cool thing about this, as a teacher, there's very little preparation that you have to do. As we'll see, there's over 140 different lessons that are pre-made, all set up and ready to go. You just have to pick out some of the logistics and decide which project students will do. But as we'll see, all this stuff is very much based on project-based learning. So again, it's completely video-based. So it's video curriculum which provides step-by-step instruction with a pause, rewind, and fast-forward capabilities, even picture-in-picture as well. We'll take a look at that as well. With over 120 hours of lessons. That's actually a little bit outdated now. Now there's over 140 lessons. And these things range in from upper elementary all the way through to adult learners, as well as many of the major content areas. Okay, and just like we see on screen here, it goes into lots of different content areas, from digital skills to practical life skills. So it has things like coding and spreadsheets and data validation, creating graphic design, doing the 4Cs, organizing, budgeting, event planning. So there is practical life skills and digital skills in here, like we'll see. And all this stuff is going to be built using the Google Apps. And a lot of this stuff is also aligned with state standards. So these things are all created by teachers. It's reviewed by ISTE, the International Society for Technology in Education, and over a million students have used this program before. Here's a little quote from a high school library media specialist. They said, "I like how the curriculum demonstrates that tech is in all fields. It gets kids to connect, to create and connect what they are learning to real life." So giving them concrete examples. And like I said, there's lots of lessons that are already built in here, and they teach students how to think and work. So building up those 4Cs, so communication, collaboration, creativity, critical thinking. All the lessons that are in this program really hammer home on those 4Cs, and then they get more specific from there, of course. And here's another quote here from a 7th grade science teacher. And they said, "The consistent feedback between peers is such a vital benefit. Students can collaborate and leave comments digitally, and they don't have to raise their hand and worry about what someone else will say. This teaches them to work together, not just as a class, but as a community." And then we'll talk about how the lessons actually work here. So again, all this stuff is free. It's flexible. It's completely done and ready to go. Each one has a full lesson plan, gives you a full teacher's instructions for how to actually implement it. So modular lessons can be taught as a full curriculum or just one-off enrichment activities. Lessons include teacher resources like customized lesson plans and rubrics. Video-based learning is self-directed and adaptable to each student's pace. And the screenshot we see on the right side here is a screenshot from an actual lesson. And again, this is the whole lesson plan that you can see. This is not something that you have to make. This is already prepped out for you. All right, then we're into our third main topic here, which is inside the curriculum. And so this is a way to look at the way teachers across the country are using applied digital skills in their classroom. So let's actually kind of take a little bit of a dive in here. So here's one example. This is one of the projects that's in applied digital skills that you can go and use right now. This lesson's about 2 to 3 hours. So this one you can last, depending on how long your classes are, this might last you several days or up to a week. And so this whole project here is writing an if-then adventure story. So it's popular in like homeroom classes or English courses, particularly good. So the practical life skills this lesson hammers home is storyboarding and group decision making. And then digital application skills is you do collaboration through comments in Google Docs and use hyperlinks in slides to tell a story. And as you can see from this little GIF here on screen, you can kind of see what it looks like. So you're on a walk through a rainforest. You decide which thing you're going to do. Are you going to drive, walk, or paddle a canoe through the rainforest? In this choice, you went with a drive. Then you just decide your next path. You're going to make a loud noise or do the other thing. And so that you can kind of see how that starts to kind of go beyond there. It's a very fun activity. Next one here, another example here. This one's planning an event. We can see that this one's a little bit longer. This one's a 6 to 9 hour project. And so this one could easily last you a week or two worth of class. And this one is popular in government or technology courses. Practical life skills that kind of come from this lesson are choosing, planning, and organizing an event, and effective communication. And applied digital application skills are digital publishing, document formatting, spreadsheet skills, And as we can see from these pictures here, we have on the top part a Google site that the students would make. They can publish it out to the web. And they can, on the bottom one, there's also an event to-do list, and that's built into a spreadsheet. And so all those skills are kind of coming together. And this is an actual real job that people out in the real world have. People are event planners, and that is a profession that is out there, and it's a real profession, and it's something that students can get exposed to early on. Next one here is organizing college information in Google Sheets. So this one's about a shorter one. This one's about 45 to 90 minutes long. So this one's a good like single class period activity. This one's of course popular in any subject. Practical life skills. It's good for organizing data, comparing and sorting data, and of course digital application skills, creating and setting up a spreadsheet. Basic spreadsheet skills can go a long way and can help out a resume for sure. Searching the internet, creating hyperlinks, sorting through information, and as we can see from these pictures, the top picture is that GIF of the spreadsheet, and they're putting together the college with the location, the tuition, and the housing costs, all that stuff, and you can put all that information together in a single spreadsheet. A couple of case studies here. So this is from a library media specialist named Mary George, and she teaches tech skills and information literacy, and she's used a couple of different applied digital skills lessons. So she's done Explore a Topic, Technology, Ethics, and Security, Technology at Work, and Equal Access to Technology. And the quote from Mary here says, it's a great getting students to think tool. It gets kids to create and connect what they're learning to real life. Okay, so of course, when students are doing stuff in school, so much of the time that you come up with that question of, when am I ever going to use this? You hear that question a million times. And when you have something like this kind of program where there's a concrete example of stuff we're learning in class, here's an actual real application for how it's used in the real world. Here's Mary's quick start guide for librarians. So step 1 here says gather your group, get your arsenal of teachers you can collaborate with early on in the year, but never stop trying to work with new teachers. Number 2, choose your lessons, decide which applied digital skills units you want to work with, which classes you may be able to work with. 3, create a class. Have the teacher create a class in applied digital skills and write down the class code to give to students. So get some of the logistics out of the way. Number 4, log in. Have your students log in to applied digital skills. Number 5, guide your students. If you are pressed for time, explain the videos to the students and advance forward to the place where they select their topic. Number 6, let them work. You can use drawings and sites as many students have not had previous exposure. Number 7, require citations. Make students cite their work in a desired style. Use your preferred databases as a springboard for research and Google for more specific searches. And then number 8, reflect. Encourage students to discuss their work with their teacher and classmates. Here's another case study. This is from a 7th grade science teacher named Amanda Alford, who uses applied digital skills every day. Lessons that she's used is planning a budget, plan an event, if-then adventure stories, technology, ethics, and security, and pick the next box office hit. And here's her quote from Amanda. I used the pick the next box office hit to teach the scientific method. Students made hypotheses from the different movies and learned how to graph their data. And if you're interested in hearing more about that specific lesson, all this stuff is available here free on Applied Digital Skills. You can go in and take a look at it. And here's a little sample from Amanda's students. So the picture on the left is from a birthday party event plan. So that was built into Google Sheets, and it has all these like to-do lists and all this like automation stuff going on. And the one on the right side is automatic document editing tool. And of course, you can see it kind of highlights different parts of speech or different specific words. And our number 4 here is we'll actually now look at how to get started for yourself in applied digital skills. We'll talk about how to set up your class and how to begin teaching. All right, so let's go ahead and actually dive in here. So step 1, of course, is to go to Applied Digital Skills. You can use this little shortcut here, g.co/applied digital skills. And once you're in here, you'll go ahead and get all signed in. So it'll look like this. You'll go ahead and choose sign up, and then you'll sign up as a teacher. One thing I'll note real quick, anybody can come in here. You don't have to have a G Suite school education account to do applied digital skills. Anybody can come in here and do this and sign up as a teacher. You may have students that accidentally or on purpose click that they are a teacher. It doesn't really make that much of a difference. They'll still be able to join your class in applied digital skills as a student, so it's not a huge deal. We'll talk more about that in just a moment. But anyway, so step number 2, of course, you'll select that you are a teacher. Then you'll set up your profile. There's a little questionnaire to start out with and all that good stuff. Then step 3 is you'll go ahead and create your classes. And you'll share your class code with your students. It's kind of the same way if you're a Google Classroom user. It should be something that you're pretty familiar with. You'll just create the class. It creates a randomly generated class code that you can just give to your students. The other thing that you can also do, notice here, this little new option here, you can now connect your Google Classroom account with Applied Digital Skills and import your student roster, and you can assign lessons and do some other stuff too. So let me show you how to do that real quick. So I'm going to head over into Applied Digital Skills real quick. I'm going to go over into My Classes up in the top right. And from in here, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and create a class. And so you'll see that I have import classes from Google Classroom, and I can choose to import a class. And again, they'll pull over the roster of students that I already have in that classroom. If you don't use Google Classroom, you can also just click this button, create a class without using Google Classroom. So you can do it either way. And I'll go ahead and import one from my Google Classroom, say who this class is mostly for, and we'll go ahead and do import. And so now, hey, here I have my Google Classroom. This is for my second quarter Google Classroom that I use. And of course, under the People tab, this is where I'll see the people that I have invited in my class. Of course, I just have one here. This is just a demo account. But of course, all your students will be pulled on over. And then all that students have to do is join into the class. So because this student is already invited, when she comes into Applied Digital Skills, let me actually go into that demo account. If she goes to g.co/applied digital skills, when she comes in, and she'll go ahead and sign in, as long as she's signing in with the same account that was invited, that we just invited just a moment ago. We'll say I'm a student. This is a student account. We'll join in the class, and hey, we get this pop-up here saying, hey, you've been invited to this class. Okay, I'll go ahead and join. I have invited her to a couple. And there we go. So now I'm invited to a couple of different classes. And of course, this is kind of like it's a learning management system, sort of, but it's just specifically for the Applied Digital Skills. You won't be able to post like the normal lessons that you normally do in Google Classroom here, but you can post lessons that you do in Applied Digital Skills here, and the lessons that you do in Applied Digital Skills, you can also send them over to Google Classroom as well. So for example, let me go ahead and go back to my teacher account here. So for example, here I'm back on the teacher's perspective. Let's say I want to go ahead and assign an activity. That was our next step on here. Start using the curriculum, browsing through all this stuff here. I'm going to go ahead and go up to lessons up at the top here. And I'm going to start just looking for some activities. And so I can use the filters down the left-hand side here. Maybe I'll just filter by topic. And maybe I was a social studies teacher, so I'll do some social studies. All right, and so we have a filter showing 25 of 142, so the 25 social studies lessons out of 142 total lessons here. in Applied Digital Skills, and they're adding more all the time. So by the time you see this, there may be more. But anyway, so here's the 25 options that match my social studies filter, and I can just kind of look through and kind of find one that I like. So if, for example, I say, let's do, create a photo journal in Google Docs. That sounds kind of interesting. We can check that out. Give a click on it, and we can see what kind of a summary here. Write a journal about your experiences and add photos to digital content. If we scroll down a little bit, we're going to see all the activity information. So this one's about a 45 to 90-minute activity. The only digital tools that it uses is Google Docs, and these are the skills that it reinforces. And now if I scroll down a little further, it'll show us all of the details of the videos that are in this unit here. So again, all this stuff here in Applied Digital Skills is all just video based. And here's all the videos. I can watch them if I want. So if I want to watch the first one, I can jump right in and start watching it. Okay. Now, if I want to see more information here, if I go up to Teaching Materials, this will show me the lesson plan, a sample rubric, certificates of completion, which you can also send. You can also download all the videos as well. And if you're having some connection issues, or if you have unreliable internet or something like that, you can also do that. All right, but let's say, for example, I just want to look at the lesson plan. And like I said, all these activities here have completely pretty robust lesson plans that are already made for you. And so, of course, we can look through the lesson plan. We see all the learning objectives, the digital skills, terms and concepts, and then it basically just gives us a whole outline of each section of the activity, basically how much time each video is, and a little description of each one, some preparation kind of suggestions, some procedural suggestions, checking outcomes, all that good stuff. Some tips at the bottom here as well. Okay, and then this one has even has some examples built in here too. So this is an example student outcome, and there's a few more examples. All this other stuff that's built in here. All right. So if we like what we see and we want to assign this activity to our students, again, we can do this activity ourselves and do a nice big deep dive into seeing exactly what this activity is having us do. We can just click on Start, and we can go through this whole unit, this whole lesson, as if we were a student, and we can just watch through everything. If we're ready, though, we can go ahead and add it to a class. And we can pick which classes we want to assign this one to. I'll go ahead and assign this to, I'll put this in my new quarter 2 classroom here. And so there's a little confirmation here. So creating a photo journal in Docs was added to this classroom. Next, create assignments for Google Classroom. So if you attached in your Google Classroom over here into Applied Digital Skills, again, you can post the assignment over in Google Classroom, so it's there with all your other Google Classroom things. So if I'll go ahead and do that. Actually, I'll do create a Google Classroom assignment, and it'll have this little pop-up for us where we'll be able to do all the assignment details. So I'll go ahead and add it to the same class here. I'm going to go ahead and make a assignment out of it. And it puts in that information, and maybe I'll just put in some extra instructions here. I'll say click the link below to start on this activity. I'll also say make sure you are signed in with your school account. All right, we change our point value. Maybe set a due date for it. Maybe I'll make this one due on Monday at midnight. And we'll put this in our, in our geography topic, whatever it is, and go ahead and assign it out. And of course, we can click on View to confirm that it's in there. And we'll jump over into classwork. And hey, there it is. Create a photo journal in Google Docs. This thing is up here ready to go. All right, let's go take a look at the student's perspective. So again, the student would go over into their Google Classroom just like they normally do. They'd head over into that class. I think it was this one. There we go. And of course, if you had a due date, it'll show up in the upcoming section over here on the bottom left, or if they're used to going into their classwork tab, whatever they're used to. And then just like that, of course, they'll see their instructions and they'll be ready to jump in and do this activity. And of course, the student is signed in, as we can tell. And once she's ready, she can click on Start and start doing this activity. And now she'll start watching the video. Nice thing is you can also have a transcript here. And it even highlights where they're at in the transcript. There's closed captions as well. If you go to the little three dots of the video, you can turn it on closed captioning. You can also make it full screen. And you can also go into the three dots again, and you can even do a picture-in-picture, which is really handy because you can have this video sitting here and you can go off to different tabs and go do different things. So like in this case, they're being asked to go make a Google Doc and put in photos and that sort of thing. And so now we can have this video playing kind of over here up in the corner, and I can still be listening to it, I can still be watching it, and then I can still come in here and be working on this Google Doc for my assignment. All right, so doing that little picture-in-picture is a really handy thing. Again, I'll just show that real quick here. That's just by going under the three dots and then clicking on picture-in-picture. Okay, and basically just like that, that's pretty much what students will do. They'll give you all the instructions. So they'll say sign into your Google account, create a new document, and give it a title, and then they'll tell you to share your work in here, and they'll feed all that work back to your teacher. All right, so I'll just call this Betty's doc. Okay, just as an example here. And I think they want us to do a shareable link. So I'm going to go ahead and do a shareable link here. And I'll paste this link over in there and share my work with my teacher. And basically, this is what the student is doing. So she's watching through these videos, doing whatever activities show up on the right side of the screen here, following those instructions. And then after that, she just moves on to the next step in the lesson. Then there's another video here to watch, and there's some more instructions and so on and so forth. Now, as far as the teacher goes, as the students are doing things, teachers will have real-time updates, so they'll be able to see all the stuff that that students are doing. So if I go back into my classes, again, this is back on the teacher's perspective, and we want to go check out what our students are doing. So here we are in my Google Classroom that I imported over a little bit ago. And from here, I just want to check up on my students, see how they're doing with their photo journal and Google Docs project. And so from here, we can see under this Lessons tab, we'll see a summary of the activity itself. Again, we could look at the lesson, look at the materials, and over on here on the right-hand side, we can look at our progress details. And we can see how far students are through the project. We can look at any attachments that they've done, how far they've gotten. So here's Betty's work that we just turned in a little bit ago. We see that she's 25% through the whole lesson. She has 2 out of 8 steps done. She has 1 attachment turned in. And if I click on this box there, we'll be able to see her submitted work. And here's Betty's doc. So just like we do over in Google Classroom, students can submit things in through here as well. Okay, and so of course any sort of grading or things that you want, you can do as well. Okay, and again, all this stuff is updated in real time. So if Betty jumps over to she's on the second step here. If I jump over to the third step, we'll see back on the teacher perspective, hey, now the student is on a different section now. Okay. See there, now she's on 3 out of 8. Okay, so just like that, you have all that information basically right at your fingertips. All right, and really the biggest thing about applied digital skills is just looking through all, there's, I forget the number, 142 lessons that are on here. When I first started doing, learning about applied digital skills, I think there was about 80 lessons in here when I first started looking into it. Now there's 142, so they're obviously adding more and more good stuff in here. And like I said, you can use these filters to find certain things if you want to have students learn about a certain tool or work on a certain topic. Of course, you have all these filters here to kind of narrow down what you want students to work on. So what I really encourage you to do is really just filter through and browse through all the lessons and take a dive into them. Again, you can look into any lesson that you want. So, if I go into this promotional flyer one, I can just simply click on start, and this is, again, exactly how the students would see it. And you can look at and see exactly what the videos look like, what they talk about, what sorts of activities they have students doing, all that kind of stuff. All right. So again, I highly recommend you look through the lessons. One other thing I'll mention too on this point here is collections as well. So you'll notice when I go back into this lessons tab here, you'll notice that kind of this first section here is all these collections. Let me just go and see all of them here. And so these collections are just kind of groups of lessons organized around the same topic. As it says here, lessons can be completed in any order, and students can complete one, two, or all the lessons in the collection. So if you have, digital learning day activities or personal projects, you have all these different things in here. These are all different collections, and some are made up of just 5 lessons. Some have 22 lessons in them. So there is a lot of different activities in here. So for example, if I want to, do this like college readiness one, that of course is a nice one to go through. And so this whole collection here, of course, help you prepare and plan for college and other educational opportunities. And basically what it does here, it tells you exactly how to get started. And then from here, it has all these individual lessons. So like it says, we have 7 lessons in this collection. And we can use any one of these in here or any group. And you can just assign them to your students, to your class in whatever order that you like. So if I say, for example, I need kids to get ready for how to use FAFSA, we can come in here, take a look at this whole lesson here about FAFSA. This one's about a 2 to 3 hour lesson rather. Digital tools used is just Google Sheets, and it has all these skills in here. And of course, you can take a preview of what all these different videos look like. And again, just like we saw earlier, you can go into the teaching materials, see all your lesson plans, lesson rubrics, all that good stuff. Okay, so all that stuff is still here for you. And the cool thing is about those collections is they're kind of grouped to different content areas or different topics. All right. And like we saw here, you'd add lessons to your class. And then, of course, it's up to students to log in and start doing those activities. And, of course, everything auto-saves, so students don't have to complete everything in one sitting, of course. However far they get in one sitting is where they'll be able to pick up next time. Step 7, of course, students start learning. After students join your class with your class code, or if you brought them in through Google Classroom, they will, of course, will be able to just to join right in, and they'll see the lessons that you've added to the class, and then just tell the students to click on a lesson to get started. Now, a couple of things I want to show. First, I only showed how to import a class from Classroom. Let me talk about doing a class code real quick. So let me go ahead and go to My Classes. And I'll just make another class real quick here, not attached to a Google Classroom. So I'll do create a class without using Google Classroom. And I'll do green because green's my favorite color. I'll just call this test class. And we'll say this is for middle or high school. And we'll say create. And as that creates this class for us, of course, then it's just time to fill in the class with our students. Okay, and all that students have to have is this class code. So you can just copy it, or if you go to the little shareable button comes up bigger. Again, you can copy it, give it out to students, whatever you need. And then when students are ready to join the class, again, all they have to do, let me just use a different student account here, is go to g.co/applied digital skills. And once they're in, they'll have to sign in. And once they're in here, we'll go ahead and, depending on if this is their first time in or not, this student is already part of other classes here, but it'll be the same process. But then they can go to join a class and put in that class code and join on in. And there we go. So now I'm in that test class that we just made. So that's all the students have to do. Again, it works pretty much the same way as if you're familiar with pretty much getting students into any sort of Google thing. Simple join code, g.co/applied digital skills. Just give students that link, sign in, and then they'll be able to put in that join code, and they'll be in. All right, let me close down some of this stuff here. All right, and that's pretty much what there is to apply digital skills. Pretty much from here, it really just comes down to exploring applied digital skills for yourself and looking through those 142 lessons and finding a few or maybe a whole collection that kind of fits with your needs and fits with things that your students might want. All right, here's all that information here. You can get this whole slideshow as well on the same website. So if you wanted this slideshow for yourself, you can get it there as well. Other things I'll just go through real quick here. There's a whole appendix of lessons here. Just a few kind of highlights here. So we already looked at this If Then Adventure story. There's a lesson. This is a 3 to 4 hour lesson about researching and developing a topic, popular in like language arts classes, library classes, current events activities, and it teaches students how to identify credible online sources and make an interactive research document. It helps students with learning how to do internet searching, even some coding and document formatting. Another activity is called Explore, Create, Communicate, and this is kind of a whole topic here. But this one's popular in like government, technology, ELA classes, media center courses. It has students research and explore topics, solutions, and create a report to communicate findings. Digital application skills would include internet research, organize and present findings using a digital application. And as you can see from the GIF that we have up here, it's having students make make this whole activity here. Planning and promoting an event, we kind of covered this one already as well. Creating a guide to an area. So this one's popular in like math classes, foreign language classes, and this has students research and organize information, data representation, and they'll be organizing data using sheets, share information using Google Maps. And again, these kind of practical skills, kind of practical purposes are good ways to kind of extend and kind of reinforce the core concepts that you're talking about in class. Creating a budget using Google Sheets. So this one's, of course, popular in math, like family and consumer science courses, homeroom courses. Practical life skills would include make financial decisions by analyzing long-term spending, comparing costs, and planning for major purposes. There's a huge push out there for teaching kids more about financial literacy, and depending on your school, depending on a number of factors, there may be a dedicated course for financial literacy, there may not be. So having just a 7 to 9 hour lesson here, all about creating a budget, that is a huge lesson to learn for a kid in school. All right, create an editing tool with programming. So this one actually goes a little bit further. So this one's popular in math and computer science, even English courses. The practical skills would include improved writing and iterative development. So a lot of the time we kind of think of computer coding as kind of a very standalone thing that doesn't really do a great job of corresponding with other subject areas, this one might be an interesting thing for you to try, because the way they frame it is a lot more about like parts of speech and kind of thinking of writing in more than just a strictly English ELA literature kind of based way. Digital application skills, of course, would be basic coding concepts with like AppScript, which is Google's kind of programming thing that lets you adjust a Google Doc or a Google Sheet or things like that. And here's this next hit at the box office activity here. So this one's a good one for math and history courses, and it has students analyze data trends and make predictions with formulas. And all this data analysis, data visualization, and formulas, they're using Google Sheets, and they can even use AppScript as well here. So a little bit more computer coding in there as well. And again, if I say the word computer coding and you start to cringe because you don't really know anything about computer coding, that's okay, because all the information in here is already done. All the materials, all those videos explain everything. You don't have to be the expert in computer coding to be able to have students do this activity. All right. Again, in this slideshow, there's a ton more. There's obviously a lot in here. I'm not going to read through every single one, but there is a lot of information in here. There's a lot of different examples, and of course, all these are going to be available for you guys on Applied Digital Skills. They're all there. They're all free. You can check out all these different activities. Okay. Last couple things I'll just kind of leave you guys with. These are just kind of rhetorical questions for you to think about. First one here is, which lessons do you think will help your students be more prepared for a 21st century workplace? Kind of keep that question in mind as you go and explore through all the lessons that are there in Applied Digital Skills. Think about what's out in there. Kind of keep that question in the back of your mind. Another thing to think about kind of logistically here is, around what date or time of year do you think these lessons would be the most appropriate? Of course, we teachers always have busy schedules, and you kind of squeeze things in when you can, and you have your own content that you have to get through. So think about what time of year would these lessons be a good time, or would be a good tie-in. Third one here is, what digital skills do you think your students are most interested in learning? Of course, your students best, especially as you get further into the school year. Think about what skills they would be interested in learning. What do you pick up on when they're just having conversations? Think about that. And last one here, is there a state standard or school initiative that might align well with one of these lessons? That's another thing to keep in mind as you're browsing through all these lessons that are in there. All right, so those are just a few questions just to keep in mind as you're looking through all the lessons that are there in Applied Digital Skills. All right, but that will pretty much bring it to an end here for me. Again, this session kind of works nicer when we have a big group and we're in person, but this is just a kind of recording just to kind of get your feet wet in Applied Digital Skills. But I thank you for watching. Again, my name is Dan Neeson. I'm a Technology Integration Specialist and Google Certified Trainer. If you have any other questions about any of this stuff here, feel free to shoot me an email at dneeson@neonet.org. But with that said, thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.